The silk sheets beneath me still smelled like him, sandalwood and rain. I pressed my hand against my flat stomach, willing myself to breathe, to think, to move. 3 weeks had passed since that night. 3 weeks since Crown Prince Seojun found me collapsed in the garden during my unexpected heat, since he carried me to his private chambers instead of calling the palace physicians. 3 weeks since everything changed. And now, the physician's words echoed in my mind like a death sentence. You're with child, Thun. About a month along. I stared at my reflection in the small bronze mirror. My face looked the same, soft features, dark eyes, the same black hair I tied back every morning before serving tea to the nobles. But everything was different now. I was an Omega servant carrying the Crown Prince's heir, and in this palace, that made me either a threat or a tool. Neither option ended well for people like me. The afternoon sun filtered through the paper windows of my tiny servants' quarters. Outside, I could hear the other palace workers chattering as they prepared for tonight's banquet. They had no idea that in a few hours, I would be gone. My hands trembled as I packed my small bundle. A change of clothes, the little money I'd saved over 5 years of service, some dried rice and vegetables stolen from the kitchens. I tucked in the jade hairpin my mother gave me before she died, the only thing of value I owned. I couldn't take much. Couldn't risk looking suspicious. Ihan. A sharp voice made me jump. I shoved the bundle under my sleeping mat just as head servant Misson slid open my door. Her eyes were cold, calculating. The Crown Prince requests tea in his study. You will serve him. My blood ran cold. Me? But I'm not scheduled. He asked for you specifically. Her thin lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. How fortunate for you. Don't keep His Highness waiting. She left, and I sat frozen on the floor. Seojun wanted to see me. After 3 weeks of silence, of pretending that night never happened, he'd summon me. Did he know? Had the physician told him? My heart hammered against my ribs. I had to leave tonight. I couldn't wait any longer. But first, I had to face him one last time. Seojun's private study smelled like ink and old books. He stood by the window, his broad shoulders rigid beneath his black and gold robes. Even from behind, he radiated power, the kind of authority that made alphas and betas bow and omegas instinctively submit. But I'd seen him differently that night. Gentle. Almost vulnerable. Your Highness. I knelt, keeping my eyes down. Your tea. Look at me, Ihan. His voice was soft, but it was still a command. I raised my eyes slowly. He was beautiful in the fading sunlight, sharp jawline, intelligent dark eyes, hair pulled back in the royal style. But there was something haunted in his expression, something that made my chest ache. You've been avoiding me, he said. I'm a servant. You're the Crown Prince. There's nothing to avoid. Don't. The word came out harsh. He moved closer, and I caught his scent, stronger now, tinged with something protective and possessive that made my Omega instincts scream in warning. That night meant something. You know it did. That night was a mistake. The lie tasted bitter. You helped me through my heat. I'm grateful. That's all. His jaw clenched. You're lying. Your Highness. I want you to stay in the palace. Not as a servant. He knelt in front of me, and the shock of it, a Crown Prince kneeling before an Omega, made me dizzy. As mine. My consort. The words I dreamed of. The exact words that terrified me. You'll be trapped, my mother's voice whispered in my memory. She'd been a palace Omega too, discarded when she couldn't produce an heir. They'll use you up and throw you away. I can't, I whispered. Pain flashed across his face. Why? Because I'm pregnant. Because your stepmother the Empress hates Omegas. Because 3 of your father's Omega consorts mysteriously died. Because I'm nobody, and this baby growing inside me is the future of the Empire, and powerful people will kill us both to control that future. Because I don't belong in this world, I said instead. Please, Your Highness. Forget about me. He stood abruptly, his expression shuddering closed. Back to the cold Crown Prince everyone knew. You're dismissed. I bowed and fled. Midnight came slowly. I waited in my quarters, dressed in plain peasant clothes, my bundle clutched to my chest. The palace was silent except for the distant sound of guards changing posts. The servants' gate would be unwatched for exactly 10 minutes during the shift change. I timed it perfectly over the past week. I crept through the shadows, my heart threatening to burst from my chest. Past the kitchens. Past the storage buildings. The gate loomed ahead. Going somewhere? I spun around. Head servant Misson stood there, 2 palace guards flanking her. Her smile was venomous. An Omega servant, pregnant with royal blood, trying to escape? The Empress will be very interested to hear about this. Terror flooded through me. She knew. The physician must have told her. Please, I begged. Please, I just want to leave. I won't tell anyone. Take him, she ordered the guards. They moved toward me. I did the only thing I could. I ran. I bolted through the gate, hearing shouts behind me. My legs burned. My lungs screamed. But I ran faster than I'd ever run, through the dark streets of the capital, toward the mountains, toward freedom. Toward survival. Behind me, I heard Misson's voice carrying through the night. Find him. The Empress wants that Omega and his bastard dead. I pressed my hand to my stomach and ran faster. I'm sorry, little one, I thought. But I promise, I'll keep you safe. Even if it meant running for the rest of our lives. The morning sun warmed my face as I wiped down the wooden tables of my tea house. Through the open door, I could see Miho chasing butterflies in our small garden, his delighted laughter filling the air like music. Appa! Appa, look! He held up a white butterfly cupped gently in his tiny hands. I caught one. Very good, sweetheart. Now let it go so it can find its family. He opened his palms, watching with wide dark eyes as the butterfly fluttered away. Those eyes, so much like his father's, made my heart clench every single day. 3 years. 3 years since I'd fled the palace with nothing but terror and determination. 3 years since I'd stumbled into this remote mountain village, half-starved and desperate, and old grandmother Heir had taken pity on the pregnant Omega with nowhere to go. You can stay, she'd said, her weathered face kind. Help me run my tea house, and you'll have a roof over your head. I'd worked harder than I ever had in the palace. When Miho was born, small and perfect and screaming with healthy lungs, I'd promised him we'd build a good life here. Free. And we had. The village of Moonridge was so far from the capital that news from the palace came months late, if at all. The villagers knew me as Ihan, a widowed Omega who'd lost his alpha husband to illness. They never questioned it. Life here was simple. People were too busy with their own struggles to pry into others' pasts. Ihan. Grandmother Heir shuffled in from the kitchen, carrying a tray of fresh rice cakes. At 70, she moved slowly, but her mind was sharp. The merchant caravan arrived early. They're asking for breakfast. I'll handle it. I smoothed down my apron and went to greet the customers. The tea house had become popular with travelers passing through the mountains. We served simple food, tea, rice, soup, kimchi, but it was warm and welcoming. Over the years, I'd taken over most of the work as grandmother Heir's health declined. She'd promised to leave me the tea house when she passed. A real home. A real future. Everything I'd never dared dream of in the palace. As I poured tea for the merchants, I listened to their chatter with half an ear. Markets opening in the next town. Bandits spotted on the western road. The price of rice going up again. Then one merchant, a grizzled man with gray in his beard, said something that made my blood freeze. Heard the crown prince finally gave up his search. 3 years, and that Omega he was hunting just vanished like smoke. My hand trembled, nearly spilling the tea. I forced myself to stay calm, to keep my face blank. Search? Another merchant asked. Some palace scandal. An Omega servant fled, and the crown prince turned the kingdom upside down looking for them. They said. But after 3 years with no leads, he shrugged. Even princes have to move on eventually. Relief and something else, something I didn't want to name, flooded through me. Seo Jun had stopped searching. We were finally truly safe. So why did my chest ache? Appa, I'm hungry. Miho tugged at my sleeve, and I pushed all thoughts of the palace away. This was my life now. This precious child, this simple tea house, this peaceful village. I would never look back. That night, after Miho fell asleep on his little mat, I sat by the window watching the stars. The mountains loomed dark against the sky, protective walls that had kept us hidden. A soft knock on the door made me tense. "Ihan? It's me." Grandmother Hei's voice. I opened the door. She looked troubled, her wrinkled face creased with worry. "What's wrong?" "There are soldiers in the village." Her voice was barely a whisper. "They arrived after dark, asking questions, looking for someone." My heart stopped. What kind of questions? About strangers who came to the village 3 years ago. About Omegas traveling alone. Her gnarled hand gripped mine. "Child, is there something you haven't told me?" I thought of lying. But Grandmother Hei had given us everything. She deserved the truth. "I ran from the palace," I whispered. "I was a servant. I got involved with someone powerful. When I got pregnant, I knew I had to leave. For my safety. For Miho's." Her eyes widened, then softened with understanding. "The Crown Prince. That's whose child Miho is." It wasn't a question. I nodded, tears burning my eyes. "And now he's found you. The merchant said he stopped searching." Men lie, child. Especially to traveling merchants who gossip. She squeezed my hand. "There's a path behind the tea house, through the mountains. Take Miho and go. I'll tell them you left weeks ago." "I can't leave you. I'm old. What can they do to me?" "But that boy." She glanced at Miho's sleeping form. "He's special. Anyone with eyes can see it. And powerful men don't like losing what they consider theirs." Fear and gratitude warred in my chest. "Thank you. For everything. Go. Before they start searching houses." I moved quickly, muscle memory from my palace days taking over. I wrapped Miho in a blanket. He stirred but didn't wake, used to being carried when we traveled to the next village for supplies. I grabbed our emergency pack, always kept ready beneath the floorboards. Money, food, warm clothes. Just like 3 years ago. Running again. I slipped out the back door into the darkness. The mountain path was treacherous at night, but I knew it well. I'd scouted escape routes the first week we arrived, just in case. Always have a way out, my mother had taught me. Never let them trap you. Miho woke as we climbed. "Appa? Where are we going?" "On an adventure, sweetheart. We need to be very quiet, okay?" He nodded against my shoulder, trusting me completely. Behind us, I heard shouts. Torches flaring to life in the village. They'd started the search. I climbed faster, my breath coming in gasps. The path wound higher, more dangerous. One wrong step and we'd both fall. "Stop!" A voice rang out below. "In the name of the Crown Prince, stop." I didn't stop. Couldn't stop. But then I reached a fork in the path and froze. Standing in the moonlight, blocking both routes, was a figure in dark royal robes. Tall, broad-shouldered, unmistakable. Sujun. He looked different, older, harder, like 3 years of searching had carved away something soft in him. But his eyes, when they met mine, held the same intensity one remembered. "Hello, Ihan," he said quietly. "I've been looking for you." My legs threatened to give out beneath me. Seojun stood there like a ghost from my past made solid, his dark robes blending with the night shadows. Behind him, I could see more figures, royal guards positioned along the mountain path. We were surrounded. Trapped. Miho stirred in my arms, lifting his sleepy head. "Appa." Seojun's entire body went rigid. His eyes locked onto Miho, and I watched the realization hit him like a physical blow. The torchlight caught Miho's face, those unmistakable features, the shape of his eyes, the set of his jaw. A perfect blend of us both. "Is that?" His voice cracked. "How old is he?" I held Miho tighter, my protective instincts roaring to life. "Don't come any closer." But Seojun took a step forward anyway, his expression a mix of awe and devastation. 3 years? He's been alive for 3 years, and you never told me? You never gave me a reason to trust you. The words burst out of me, sharp and desperate. What was I supposed to do? Stay in the palace and wait for your stepmother to poison my food? Become another dead Omega in the history books. I would have protected you. Like you protected your father's other consorts? I shot back. 3 of them died, Seojun. 3. Mysterious illnesses, accidents, sudden heart failures. Everyone knows the Empress had them killed. His jaw clenched. That's exactly why I needed you with me. Where I could keep you safe. Safe. I laughed, the sound bitter and broken. A cage is still a cage, even if it's gilded. I wanted freedom. I wanted our son to grow up without courtly poison in his food and knives in the dark. Our son. He said the words like a prayer, his eyes never leaving Miho. What's his name? I shouldn't tell him. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to fight, to do anything but answer. But Miho was looking up at Seojun now, curious and unafraid. Who's that Appa? Miho asked. Why does he look sad? My heart shattered. His name is Miho. Seojun's expression softened into something devastatingly tender. Miho. That's a strong name. He knelt slowly, making himself smaller, less threatening. Hello, Miho. I'm a friend of your Appa's. A friend? Miho's eyes went wide. Appa doesn't have many friends. Just Grandma Hay and Mr. Park who sells vegetables. Pain flashed across Seojun's face. 3 years of our lives and he'd missed all of it. Every smile, every word, every moment. Good part of me thought viciously. He deserved to hurt. But another part, the part that remembered his gentleness that night, the way he'd held me like I was precious, ached at his expression. Your Highness. A guard approached cautiously. We should return to the village. It's not safe on these paths at night. Seojun stood, his mask of royal authority sliding back into place. Ihan, we need to talk. Properly. Come back with me. So you can drag me to the palace in chains? So I can explain what's really happening. His voice turned urgent. Things have changed. My father is dying. The succession is in chaos. And there are people who know about Miho now. People who would use him or kill him to control the throne. Ice flooded my veins. What are you talking about? My investigation into the dead consorts. I never stopped. I found proof that my stepmother was behind their deaths. His hands clenched into fists. She learned you were pregnant. That's why head servant Missen tried to capture you that night. They wanted to eliminate any potential heir that wasn't from the Empress's bloodline. The pieces clicked into place with horrifying clarity. Missen's venomous smile. The way she'd known exactly where I'd be. The guards waiting at the gate. But they failed, Seojun continued. You escaped. And for 3 years I've been consolidating power, removing the Empress's allies, building a faction strong enough to protect you both. The soldiers who came to this village tonight? They're not here to capture you. They're here because the Empress's spies discovered Miho's existence last week. My blood turned to ice. You're saying, assassins are coming, Ihan. Maybe already here. You ran to protect our son, and I respect that. But running won't work anymore. There's nowhere in this kingdom you can hide where they won't eventually find you. You're lying. But even as I said it, I heard the truth in his words. Why else would he come personally? Why bring so many guards to a remote mountain village? Appa, I'm scared. Miho buried his face in my neck, picking up on my fear. Seojun's expression turned desperate. Please. I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to let me protect our son. He's the rightful heir to the throne. That makes him the most dangerous person in the kingdom to people who want control. And what happens if I go with you? You parade him in front of the court? Use him to secure your position? No. The word was fierce. I keep him hidden and safe until I take the throne. Then I execute every person who ever threatened him, including my stepmother. The raw protectiveness in his voice matched my own. This wasn't the cold crown prince I'd known in the palace. This was a father who just discovered his child existed, and that child was in danger. A sound echoed through the mountains. A bird call, but wrong. Too sharp, too deliberate. Seojun's head snapped up. Signal. North Ridge. His voice turned to steel. They're already here. The guards drew their swords, forming a protective circle around us. How many? Seo Jun demanded. Unknown, Your Highness. But if they're using the mountain approach. An arrow whistled through the darkness. One of the guards fell with a cry. Move! Seo Jun grabbed my arm, pulling me down the path. Get them to safety! Everything dissolved into chaos. Arrows. Shouts. The clash of steel. I ran, clutching Miho, following the guards through the treacherous mountain path. Behind us, I could hear Seo Jun fighting, his sword singing through the air. There! A dark figure dropped from the rocks above, blade aimed at Miho. I twisted, putting my body between the assassin and my son. Pain exploded across my shoulder as the blade cut deep. I screamed, stumbling. Seo Jun appeared like an avenging ghost, his sword taking the assassin's head in one clean strike. Ihan! He caught me as I fell. No, stay with me. Miho, I gasped. Blood soaked my clothes. Promise me. Promise you'll protect him. You're both going to be fine. His voice broke. I just found you. I'm not losing you now. Everything went dark. Pain woke me. Sharp, burning pain that radiated from my shoulder through my entire body. I tried to move and immediately regretted it, gasping as fire lanced through my wound. Don't move. Seojin's voice, rough with exhaustion. The physician just finished stitching you up. My eyes flew open. I was lying in an unfamiliar room, small but clean, with paper walls and simple wooden furniture. Not the palace. Definitely not the palace. Sunlight filtered through the windows, meaning I'd been unconscious for hours. Miho. His name tore from my throat. Where's Miho? Safe. Sleeping in the next room. Seo Jun leaned forward, and I saw how haggard he looked. Dark circles under his eyes, blood still staining his robes, hair falling loose from its top knot. He wouldn't leave your side until exhaustion took him. Kept asking when you'd wake up. Relief nearly knocked me unconscious again. The assassins? Dead. All of them. His voice was cold, final. We captured one alive. He confirmed what I suspected. The Empress sent them. She found out about Miho 2 weeks ago through a spy in the merchant caravans. She's been systematically searching every village along the mountain routes. I struggled to sit up, ignoring the pain. Then we need to run. If she knows about this place, we're not running. His hand pressed gently against my uninjured shoulder, keeping me down. We're going to the palace. Are you insane? Fear spiked through me. That's exactly where she wants us. No, she wants you vulnerable and isolated. She wants Miho unprotected. Seojin's eyes blazed with determination. She doesn't want you in the palace, surrounded by my guards and my allies. She spent 3 years hoping I'd never find you, that you'd die quietly somewhere and take the succession problem with you. So walking into her territory is your brilliant plan? My father died last night. The words hung in the air like stones. I stared at him, processing. I'm Crown Prince no longer, he continued quietly. I'm the Emperor now. I was crowned at dawn while you slept. My first decree was declaring Miho as my legitimate heir and ordering the Empress's arrest for treason and conspiracy to murder. My mind reeled. You can't just, she has supporters, powerful families. Had supporters. Past tense. A grim smile touched his lips. 3 years wasn't just spent searching for you, Ihan. I spent it carefully, methodically destroying her power base. Every family she relied on, I either brought to my side or ruined. Every general she controlled, I replaced. Every spy she planted, I turned or eliminated. The court will never accept an Omega's son as heir, I said desperately. You know how they think. They'll call him illegitimate, say his blood isn't pure enough. Then I'll execute anyone who questions my son's legitimacy. The words were ice cold, absolute. I've already had 12 nobles arrested this morning for speaking against the decree. Their families are begging for mercy. This wasn't the conflicted prince I'd known. This was an emperor, ruthless, powerful, willing to wade through blood to protect what was his. It terrified me. And God's help me, It made me feel safer than I'd felt in 3 years. Why? The question came out broken. Why go this far? You could choose anyone. A beta from a powerful family, an omega with noble blood. Why us? Seo-jun looked at me like I'd asked why the sun rose. Because that night 3 years ago changed everything. Because I've dreamed about you every night since. Because when I learned you were carrying my child and you ran, his voice cracked. I understood. I saw what my world looked like through your eyes, and I was ashamed. You were right to run, Ayhan. Everything you feared was real. Tears burned my eyes. Then why bring us back to that nightmare? Because I spent 3 years turning that nightmare into something different. He took my hand carefully, mindful of my injury. The Empress is in prison. Her son has been stripped of all titles and exiled. Every person who would hurt you or Miho is either gone or too terrified to act. I made the palace safe for you. For our son. For our family. Family, I whispered. The word felt foreign, dangerous. I know I have no right to ask for your trust. I know I failed you before. His thumb traced circles on my palm. But I'm asking anyway. Come to the palace. Not as a servant. Not as a hidden consort. As my imperial omega. As Miho's appa, who will be honored and protected. Let me spend the rest of my life proving I can keep you both safe. Before I could answer, the door burst open. Miho stood there, rubbing his eyes, his hair sticking up at odd angles. When he saw me awake, his face lit up like the sun. Appa! He ran to the bed, and I caught him with my good arm, ignoring the pain. You're awake. The nice physician said you got hurt protecting me. You're very brave. Of course, sweetheart. I kissed his forehead. I'll always protect you. The Emperor said he'll protect us too. Miho looked at Seo-jun with absolute trust. He told me he's my father. Is that true, Appa? Do I really have a father like the other children? My breath caught. I looked at Seo-jun over Miho's head and saw everything I'd never let myself hope for reflected in his eyes. Devotion. Promise. Yes, I whispered. He's your father. Miho's smile could have melted glaciers. He turned to Seo-jun. Does this mean we get to live in a palace? With you. If your appa agrees, Seo-jun said carefully. Would you like that? Yes. Will there be gardens? And can I have a puppy? Mr. Park's dog had puppies last month and they're very small and cute. Miho, slow down. I laughed despite everything. But Seo-jun was nodding seriously. Gardens, yes. A puppy, absolutely. Anything you want. I want Appa to not be scared anymore, Miho said suddenly, his 3-year-old wisdom cutting straight to the heart of things. He has bad dreams sometimes. He worries a lot. Will you make him not scared? Seo-jun's eyes met mine. I'll spend every day trying. The walls I'd built around my heart over 3 years of running, of fear, of loneliness, they cracked. Not broken, not yet, but cracking. One condition, I said quietly. Grandmother Heir, the woman who helped us. She comes too. She'll be safe and comfortable. Already arranged. My guards brought her to the capital this morning. She's in a private residence, fully staffed, with the best physicians. Of course He'd thought of everything. Any other conditions? He asked. I looked at Miho, then at Seo-jun. At the future I'd never dared imagine. Promise me that if it ever becomes too dangerous, if staying in the palace puts Miho at risk, then we'll all leave together, Seo-jun interrupted. All 3 of us. I'll abandon the throne before I let anyone hurt our family. Our family? He kept saying it like it was real, like it was already true. Maybe it was time to stop running. Maybe it was time to fight for something instead of just fleeing from everything. Okay, I whispered. We'll come home. Seo-jun's expression transformed, relief and joy so intense it hurt to witness. Miho cheered, bouncing on the bed until I winced, and he immediately stilled, apologetic. And for the first time in 3 years, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, we could have this. Safety. A real home. But as Seo-jun helped me prepare for the journey to the capital, I couldn't shake one lingering fear. The Empress might be imprisoned, But surely someone that powerful wouldn't go down without one final move. I just hoped we'd be ready when it came.